So in my case, my patient is a softball player. He presents with posterior lateral pain in his shoulder. He has the most pain when he's doing his throwing motion, so going back in external rotation and throwing forward. On the exam, he has 4 out of 5 shoulder strength. He has a forward head, and he also has rounded shoulders, and he has poor thoracic extension and rotation. So to start off, I want to start correcting those postural impairments because that could be affecting his shoulder. So to help with the forward head position, we're just going to do a simple chin tuck. So we're just going to bring our chin into making a double chin. And so we want, again, to do this to correct that forward head position. And so I would do 2 sets of 20 because we really want to build up that endurance in those muscles so then they can keep them from not going into that forward head position. So it's 2 sets of 20, about 5 times a week. And so hoping that we can correct that forward head position. The next exercise for the beginning phase, so we're just going to do a simple pec stretch because we want to get him out of that rounded shoulders, and so his pec could be tight, and then this also helps stretch out the external rotators. So what he'll do, he'll just come up into a doorway, or if he has a wall like this, and he's just going to lean into it, feeling a good stretch in that pec. And he would hold this for 30 seconds, and he would do this about 2 to 3 times a day, and then about 5 times a week. Again, this is just to help get him out of that forward or the rounded shoulders. Okay, for the first exercise for the intermediate stage, so I want to start working on that poor thoracic extension and rotation. So for the extension, this would preferably be on the floor than the bed, but he would have a foam roller. So I'm pretending this pillow is the foam roller, and then he would just put it behind his mid back, and then he would just extend over it, and he'd hold that for 30 seconds, and he'd do about 3 to 4 times a day, 4 times a week. And then for the rotation, so again, preferably on the floor, not the bed, but he would come into the quadruped, and then he would put his hand behind his neck, and then he would rotate outwards, and then he'd do it on the other side, again, rotating outwards, and he'd do, he'd do this about, he would do this about 3 sets of 10 reps, and he would do this about 4 times a week as well. And for the second exercise for the intermediate stage, so now we're going to work on strengthening the external rotators. So what he's going to do, this band isn't the best for this, but he would have it attached to the door somehow, and he would just pull back. And so we're contracting those external rotators going back like this. And then instead of like just having it pull forward like that, so he's going to just eccentrically slowly control it down. So he's working on the contraction of the external rotators, and then he's working on the eccentric movement going into the internal rotation. So he would do 3 sets of 12 for this, and he would do this 3 times a week. So for the first exercise for the advanced stage, so I want to start working on like the plyometrics of the throwing, making it explosive. So what I want to do is just be in quadruped, and then he's going to have a ball like this, and then he's just going to catch it like that. So he's going to let it drop and catch it. And so it's working on that explosive nature of throwing, and he would do 3 sets of 10 3 times a week for this one. The final exercise for the advanced stage, so when he's in the clinic, he can do this throwing at a trampoline, but while he's at home, he can just be in a lunge position, and then he could throw it at the wall. This ball doesn't bounce back as well, but ideally he'd use like a tennis ball or something that can bounce back to him so he can catch it. But again, this is just to help, start improving the plyometrics of throwing, and then this kind of gets him more into where he would be for throwing. So, compared to the quadruped where he's, on all fours, this one is more standing, so he can really work on that throwing motion. And so important is just making sure that, he's controlling that motion so he's not like all over the place. But he would just cock it back and then throw it at the wall, and ideally it would come back and he would catch it. And he would do about 2 sets of 15 for this 3 times a week.